Give me the mic.
Oh.
Be on me.
We can talk about Ted's car.
Yeah.
Ted's Model A.
I remember.
With the bomb on the side of it.
Yeah.
And the rumble seat in the back.
Well, it was a pickup.
There wasn't a rumble seat in that one.
Wasn't there? I thought there wasn't.
It was a little
You don't
pickup
remember
bed.
the car?
I remember, it was a little pickup, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, it was a
telling you
little
what I
pickup.
remember, but
And I can tell you, that I can't believe Dad let me do that. It was a beautiful black car. And my dad, and I asked Dad if I could paint it. He said, okay. And so I went, let's see, across the street from Aunt Bess was an old garage. So I pulled the car in that garage and I got me a powder puff and a can of paint and I went to work on that thing, painted it yellow, cut me a decal out, put bombs on both sides of the doors. And it was I thought it was a really nice looking car. I couldn't believe it. Dad let me do that.
Well, we didn't have a car, so that was
Yeah.
quite
Yeah,
interesting.
it was a family car and he let me paint it and I couldn't, he must have cared for me some way.
But it was again, the old type. Set the spark and crank it, and it was a lot of fun. Out there crank and crank and crank and adjust and crank some more. I learned to drive in that. And I was going down the road the first time Ted let me, he was coming from the church and going home, and Ted said I could drive it. And first thing I did, when I got in and got it going, and we went over this side of the road, and then I went over here. I was going down the road that's just about shoulder to shoulder down the road, heading down to our place.
How old were you?
I don't know. 14, maybe 15, I don't know.
Well, thing I remember about that car, it was the most scariest thing I ever experienced in my life, I think. And it was when Emma Lou had come down to Blanding to see us.
Who?
Emma Lou.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got in this car, and we had all the kids in the back. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember it.
And we were going up to Pinot Knoll.
I didn't remember where we were going, but I remember we had to push it.
Well,
Or was that time?
no, it wasn't that time. We were, the car didn't have very good brakes to start with. And we got almost, coming up the hill and the motor killed. And I couldn't, and it started rolling back and I put on the brakes and the brakes wouldn't hold. And so I was coasting, how windy it was coming up there and had all the
Very
kids.
windy.
Had all the kids in the back, and there's no guardrails or anything, and I was trying to steer a thing that was picking up speed, and I was just scared to death. And all of a sudden, and this is true, somebody grabbed a hold of that steering wheel and whipped it around and it banked it in. Otherwise, we'd all be dead.
We wouldn't be here right now.
That's right.
That was a real spiritual experience.
Well, I can tell you about the Pinot Knoll, and this is really something that I know Lynn doesn't know, because nobody knows this, except me and a couple of my friends. When Dad was in the river business, we had a Jeep pickup. And I took the Jeep pickup one night up on the Pinot Knoll, and then took it off the west side of the Pinot Knoll, where there was no road. So that I never told anybody what I did. Got about halfway down and about run out of spaces that the Jeep would fit through, and figured I was just going to be stuck up on there side of the hill, but I wasn't.
We could go off forever. We're talking about this thing, because Pinot Knoll's where we used to do some sledding down there, trumping up the hills and sledding down there. That was great. Well, Lynn, are you born yet?
I don't know.
Tell us
What's your first memories?
Tell us about your first memories.
Do you remember the Jacobs? Leonard and Ethel and all the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lived right on top of the
Yeah,
hill, didn't they?
Yeah, lived right up on top of the hill.
You're getting that feedback just in case you.
No, I'm done there, Dorothy.
Okay. I remember all of the chickens, the goats, the pigs, we didn't have cows, did we?
We did. We had one cow for a while.
We did?
Yeah,
I don't remember the
Okay.
I don't remember.
I can tell you about that cow.
We could do 15 minutes on chickens, 20 minutes on cows, 30 minutes on pigs, and half hour on bees.
That's
No
right,
problem.
I forgot the bees.
What about
Yeah.
goats?
I'm trying to think of my earliest, I was real good friends with Jerry Jacobs, and I remember one day, I was outside, and here comes Jerry running down the hill, swinging his arms in windmill fashion, you know, swinging his arms back around, and he was stark naked. He didn't have a stitch of clothes on him. Oh, I always remember that, poor kid.
How old were you?
Oh, well, couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years old. Not very old. I'm not very old.
Well, this cow,
He's not through.
the cow thing was, we had one cow, we had some hay down by the pig pen, and the cow kept getting into the hay, and so Dad put a wire around the haystack and hooked up a Ford coil at the house, and he just watched out the window. And as soon as that cow got close to hay, he plugged it in and knocked that cow knocked it down. And then he unplugged it, and the cow got up, and there wasn't a piece of wire in that yard that he would get close to. He only did it once.
Tell us about the goats.
Goats.
Give me
Leah,
goats.
Fizzle Britches, I don't remember the
I
other.
don't remember all of the names. Verdi or
Purdy?
Purdy?
Oh,
Purdy?
Pert.
Pert.
Okay, Leah and Fizzle Britches.
Leah and Fizzlebritches.
We had 3 of them.
I remember that we used to milk them, and I drank the milk.
Yeah, we have proof of that.
And I
Yeah.
milked them.
And you what? You milked them?
I milked them.
I helped them.
You milked them?
Oh yeah, we all milk.
Don't you see, remember my picture with them? being up
Yeah.
there?
Except the babies, the little guys that didn't want to do it. We've got a picture somewhere of Lynn with the milk on his face, like these mustache
Yeah.
pictures.
Got milk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
got a picture of you with that, with the
Who
milk
has
mustache.
one?
Huh?
Who has one?
I do somewhere,
All right, dig it up.
don't we, hon?
Of what?
Of me with the
Milk
milk
mustache.
mustache.
Well, that's the one I have.
Well, no, you've got, well, that might be the same one.
Might be the same
Was
one.
this the one that was in the Children's Friend? I had
Yeah.
a picture of me drinking goat's milk that was in the Children's Friend.
Mhm.
But
See,
they-
you remember more than I do.
He's a celebrity.
Willard Luce took it.
Yeah.
How'd you get in that?
Remember Willard Luce? You?
That's who Willard was named after.
What, do I know him? He was my teacher. He beat me up.
Willard Luce was Bevan's teacher.
Really? I
And
didn't know
he
him.
beat him up. That's what he said. I remember,
That ring of keys. He'd bop you on the head with his
No.
keys if you were acted up.
Was that school?
Mhm.
He wouldn't make it today, would he?
You remember you and Willard and Otis throwing
Yeah.
rocks on George Everett?
oh yeah, that was
She
fun.
just told me about that about a month ago.
Oh, we used to get in trouble for that. That's when Georgianne Burtonshaw, they started their home and they lived in a basement. Do you remember that, Yvonne? And walking home from school, we'd throw rocks over on the top of their basement. Boy, she'd get mad.
She came out and spanked you.
I don't remember that.
When I walked home from school, the Guymans, Irv and Dave Guyman, had a potato patch over where the school teachers' houses are now. And I would go and dig up their little potatoes. And one day I got caught, and that wasn't much fun either.
Well, you remember the canal on the way home, the ditch along there, and all the mulberry trees?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, we used to have fun with those mulberry trees.
big old mulberries.
Was that up by Aunt Bess we were talking about, or is this?
No, it's
now?
up by Pearl Bayless's and Adams.
Yeah,
Up by the bed and breakfast, the old hotel.
Yeah, well, Aunt Beth's up that way.
Well, yeah, it's a
Block.
little bit further west than that, Beth.
Yeah.
That next block up through there. I remember Dad and Uncle Anthony, Uncle Edson, butchering pigs.
Yeah.
We'd go down there and butcher the pig and dip it in the hot water of the barrel and then scrape it.
Put it back in the barrel and scrape it some more.
Yeah.
Till they
Kind of
got all the
process.
hair off of it.
We lived in Boys Town.
What?
We lived in Boys Town. Did you know that? You never heard our neighborhood called Boys Town?
No.
Oh, really?
Neither have I.
Oh, that's what I knew it as. Because there were only, Charlotte and Loretta and Bonnie Jean were the only girls. And Dorothy, you were older.
Oh.
But I think they were the only girls. And you had Willard and Otis and Lynn and Paul and Ernie and Nikki and Neil and
The Jacob boys.
the Jacobs and, yeah, we had a whole, well, and the Conways, well, no, okay, we had, what's her name, Conway,
Clyda.
Clyda there, but, and then Madge and DeVar had all of their boys,
Yeah.
and then Proc May, and they had all their boys, so, we had a lot of boys around there,
Yeah, we did.
we did,
Cowboy Rock,
oh yeah,
Monkey Tree,
well, that was Monkey Tree, but Cowboy Rock was further,
the
What?
north.
wasn't Cowboy Rock out further west?
What?
North.
I don't remember Cowboy Rock. That was the sandstones rocks behind the house.
You don't remember Cowboy Rock?
No.
What?
I remember Monkey Tree.
Don't you remember Monkey Tree?
Is that old cedar tree up
You
there?
bet.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. I didn't know you called it monkey tree though.
That's, that's where they taught me how to shoot the flipper. Hold it out. Hold the flipper here and a rock in here and let it go.
Did Bevan teach you that?
Yeah, why? One of you.
Probably me.
Yeah.
I was
Probably
like
Bevan.
I was a flipper guy. I had lots of flippers.
See, most of my memories, Ted would have been gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that. But you remember, out in the front of our house, between us and Ackenberger's, that big flat area where we'd build a fire and
Oh,
cook
yeah.
corn and play kick the can.
Yep.
All the kids would be there. You remember that?
Of course.
Well,
And on top of the hill, we had a fire too, and sleigh riding.
yeah. And playing Andy I over the house. Remember that?
On that flipper thing, we used to go down to the feed mill, Anthony's feed mill down below the canal, and they made pellets to feed animals, and we'd steal those pellets. They'd work really good in the flipper. And talking about the sleigh riding, I was in Hawaii in Sickening Sacrament meeting in this nice, warm Hawaii day, half asleep. And this lady from another ward was talking, and she said, and Brother Wright and I used to go down and ride down the hill and across the bridge and all the way down to the bottom of the hill. And boy, I woke up in a hurry. And it was one of the Adams girls, Ernest Adams girls, that lived right there.
Doris or?
No,
Oh,
it was,
not that one.
no, it was Ernest Adams's bunch.
Oh,
Gordon and Garda, their older sister, Charlotte, Shanna or something. But anyway, she was married, living in Hawaii in another ward. And that really made me think.
we went clear down to Grandma's on our sleigh.
Yeah, on a good day.
Do you remember Christmas at Grandma's house?
Oh, yeah. Do you?
Oh, yeah.
So we go down, we draw names and go down to Grandma's house and we exchange names, and Scott and Terry and Howard and Leonard,
All of us.
Michael, June, all the kids were down there.
Aunt Nora's kids.
Aunt Nora's kids, we had
Noodles on mashed potatoes, noodle gravy.
noodle gravy.
Do you remember that on mashed potatoes,
No.
homemade noodles?
Can't remember that.
Homemade ice cream.
I remember one time it was popcorn. Remember one night we had popcorn down there, and Lawrence Rowley and I were sitting on the couch together, and the popcorn was really salty, and we couldn't eat it, and we didn't want to be impolite and not eat it, so we dumped it. We put it down under the cushions of the couch. We just sitting there and just slowly just kept pushing the popcorn down the cushion of the couch. But I remember Grandma's.
I was up at Collier Red store one December looking at the toys, and Aunt Nora come by and said, "Oh, what do you like in there, Bevan?" And so they had my name, and so that's what I ended up getting. But I remember so well Santa Claus coming in and walking in the snow down to Grandma's house and all the cousins. I remember when we had a picnic, all the cousins, and Aunt Nellie's boy William.
I remember that.
They had Easter eggs for everybody. And on William, because they couldn't write William on an egg, they put Will. And Aunt Nellie had an absolute conniption fit over that.
Boy, she screamed and hollered.
Was this a picnic where we went out to Recapture Canyon, kind of out that way?
We're down
Up
east
the
of town.
knoll? Wasn't it on top of that knoll?
I don't know, it's out east
We rolled
somewhere.
our eggs down the hill.
Yeah, it seemed like there's some big old flat rocks down there, and we had a picnic with all the family. And then, of course, the famous picnic was in the motorcycle. You probably remember that.
The motorcycle,
Yeah, where we had the
sidecar.
sidecar.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we went on a picnic, and we had, let's see, Bevan was, let's see, I think Lynn was in front of Dad, and Otis was probably behind.
Otis and Lynn were with Mom in the sidecar.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
And then you were on this motorcycle with Dad
And
and
you were.
Bevan. No, not me, because he tied a rope to the motorcycle, and I was riding on the bike, because there wasn't room for me. And he'd put the rope around the handles, and I was holding it so I could let go. And he was towing me on the motorcycle over to where we had the picnic. You remember that?
Yeah, it seemed like it was going to Bluff.
I
but
thought you were sitting behind me
No,
on,
no, I couldn't get in. I don't know if it was Bevan or Otis or Willard, one of them was behind you.
oh, I always thought it was you.
No, they were towing me on a bike.
Oh, I don't remember that.
No.
It was Will.
Boy, I do. So.